waste in Kootenai County. In your opinions, is there waste? Where's the waste? How much is the waste? And what will you do to eliminate the waste?
So are you talking to county government?
Yep.
Okay. Well, again, I've been through 5 budget seasons, and our departments and our elected officials are actually very frugal. Part of the issue becomes is having to hire people at higher wages in this labor market where we're all competing for the same people. So just this morning, we changed the detention deputy matrix from a 9-year to a 7-year, and we increased the starting wage to help fill those positions. So as far as waste goes, there were things that we were paying for that last budget season. The commissioners finally decided that we weren't going to support Coeur d'Alene Economic Development and Heritage Health anymore. So those were 2 things that I had felt for a long time that were not the role of county government. And so whenever I think about budgeting and paying for things, I always look and I think about going to my neighbor and knocking on their door and say, hey, I need you to pay for this. So that's kind of how I look at it. What are the things that we're statutorily required to do? Is it just user-based where we can charge fees for? But really, there's not a whole lot of waste. The major expense is from wages, and we're a service industry. We don't make widgets, so we need to provide the best service possible at the lowest cost. Realistically though, we're doing so much more with less people because we just can't really hire for a lot of those jobs.
You know, when it comes to the waste part of it, it doesn't, to me, watching the last few commissioner meetings, I think it becomes waste when we end up having to make up funds for mistakes, things that have occurred, decisions. I think, take for example, the 911 center. You know, because of the fact that we end up having to hire out a temp agency for 2 mobile dispatchers for 3 months cost us over $100,000. So at that point, that to me is a waste, because had we met the wages to fill the gaps, we would then not be spending over $100,000 for temporary people. Now, it's hard when you deal with as far as budgets, and I'm not blaming, individuals. Just it comes down to as far as that this is something that's taken place, throughout the years, and it's a buildup, and then that's the cost, the end result. So it ends up turning to waste. Not that it's intentional, but I think that it's one of those things that you kind of have to foresee. So those kind of items, I think that's where I see that ends up becoming waste.
Would you like to respond?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So since I've come in office, the emergency communication officers have had a 59.9% wage increase. Yes. So in 2018, they were 1716. They had 6 openings. In I don't want to read you every single year, but in 2021, they were at 1942. They had 8 openings. In 2022, they were at $24.75, and they had 12 openings. In a mid-year increase, December of 2023, they were up to 27.44, 6% increase, and they had 14 openings. Now they have, I believe, 11 openings because they finally got some people. And so it's not just a money issue, and the boards I have been on have absolutely talked about and made changes every time the Sheriff's Department has come forward with a request to help solve these problems. Because it's not just 911, it's also our public defenders and our prosecutors. There's just jobs right now that are just really hard to fill. So like I spoke to earlier, that is our biggest expense, is having enough people to serve our growing community. So it has been addressed over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, I think it took a point to where they ended up having to match Spokane County. And then all of the applications came in. And so when you have to shut off all the applications because you got so many, it tells you it's a money factor, right? It's a money factor because if they didn't apply before and you met a dollar amount and now everybody wants to go ahead and apply for it, it became a dollar amount, and that was the issue. And I think it's one of those things where you look at it, if you kick the can down the road long enough, this is the predicament we get in.
So, okay, let's move on to a different question.
Well, I do have a response to that.
We've gone 2 rounds on that one. We've got questions that'll come back to that.